Meeting of the Sierra Sands Board of Education for June 20th, 2024. We'll start with a pledge to the flag led by Mr. Campbell. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll have a moment of silence. All right, thank you. I'll move to item 1, adoption of the agenda. Any changes?
No changes.
All right. Then item 2, approval of minutes of the special meetings of June 3rd and 6th, 2024, and the special and regular meetings of May 16th, 2024. Any changes? Seeing no violent disagreement, those will stand. That takes us to programs and presentations. We'll do both of these from down on the floor. The first will be a presentation to Captain Jeremy J.V. Vaughn, Commanding Officer, North China Lake. And the second will be a presentation to our very own Diane Naslund, Administrative Secretary to the Superintendent.
Service member, and that's why I get too loud. As a service member, I can't thank you enough for all that you've done for the military children. The Purple Star is a much bigger deal than I think we all think. I think it's going to start a momentum towards this area has had a history of taking care of our military kids, and to go forward into something like this is incredible. The schools that are being built and the new incredible classrooms that these kids are going to be in, second to none, and only in Ridgecrest. But now as a dad with one kid in college as a junior up in UC Davis, thank you Burroughs High School. One kid that's in Crown College as a softball player, pre-med, thank you Burroughs High School. Thank you Sierra Sands. As a father, thank you very much. And so as Joe Citizen soon, I'll be you'll see me buzzing around the back just because I care. The school system in Nevada changed my life. I was talking to my mom just today as I was driving back from San Diego, and I did not realize how hard our life was. I blocked a lot of them, and some days that we didn't have a whole lot of food to eat. The school district and the school system and the education in the United States changed that, and none of this would be possible, including my family, without education. So thank you for those who volunteer you very much. For those who have dedicated your life to it, it's a service that matters, and you're changing the nation one kid at a time. And just from as a service member, as a member of the Navy, and just as a father, thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Very securely wrapped here. Thank you. Diane, it has been such a pleasure to work alongside you, and I am proud to be the most recent superintendent that you've trained. Thank you for your years of service to Sierra Sands, and on behalf of the board, we'd like to provide you with this plaque showing how you've gone above and beyond on behalf of the students in the Sierra Sands Unified School District. So thank you so very much. Let's get on either side of her. It's lovely. Thank you.
All right, that'll take us to item number 5, reports and communications. We'll start with reports from members of the board. Any reports from any board members? No, we're on vacation. All right. Number 2, superintendent's report. Dr. Moore.
Thank you. Our month 9 enrollment was 5,002 students, and this time last year was 5,016, so down just 14. We did see a discouraging drop in attendance in that last month, down 3% from the prior year. So that's something that we'll certainly be looking into and working with our staff and families. Since the last board meeting, we all attended a number of graduations, promotions, and moving up ceremonies. Definitely a great time to celebrate the accomplishments of our students and staff. We also, I would like to just highlight for the community, we received $550,000 in grants for dual enrollment to support our schools over the next 3 years. In serving our students in conjunction with Saracoso, and they were very supportive of those grants as well. And I had the opportunity and privilege to meet with each of our principals and cabinet members in end-of-year reflection meetings to reflect on the year, our accomplishment of goals, and planning for next year. And I continue to be impressed and thankful for the amazing team in Sierra Sands, including our dedicated leaders that work countless number of hours to make sure that we're serving our students as best we can. And then on the agenda, I'm wanting to highlight and excited to discuss the Portrait of a Graduate draft later this evening, the culmination of months of community outreach and input on what we want our graduates to know and be able to do upon graduation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. I'm excited about that too. That takes us to communications from the public. The board will provide time during the discussion of each agenda item for members of the public to comment. At this time, members of the public may address the board on an item not on the agenda. Comments should relate to items of public interest within the board's jurisdiction. The law prohibits the board from taking action on items not on the agenda. If appropriate, your comments will be referred to staff for response. When addressing the board, please state your name and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. In accordance with the board bylaws, the board will limit the total time for public input to 30 minutes. Those wishing to address the board beyond the 30-minute time limit may do so at the end of the scheduled meeting agenda. So I'll open public comment at 6:09. And seeing no mad rush to the microphone, we'll close public comment at 6:10, according to the wall. Takes us to 6, educational administration. 6.1, approval of 2024-25 school plans for student achievement. Ms. Decker.
Good evening, Vice President Rockwell. It's not on. Oh, there it is. Good evening, Vice President Rockwell, started it first, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Moore, staff and community. Schools receiving state and federal program funds are required to develop site-level educational plans addressing annual program priorities. These plans, developed by site staff and school site councils, define actions to meet annual goals. Sierra Sands schools have consistently incorporated the district's strategic plan goals and actions in their school plans for student achievement, thereby aligning school-level program priorities with district-wide goals and priorities. In addition, site plans address programmatic requirements of the state and federal programs in which each school participates. Once a school plan has been developed and approved by the school site council, it must be reviewed continually to determine which goals, strategies, and expenditures should be modified to ensure the program is current and capable of meeting the needs of all students. School site personnel and school site councils met this spring to analyze data, update instructional program priorities, and revise school plans. As of these 24-25 plans, the site-based funding allocations for Prop 28 Arts and Music in Schools funding have been included in the actions and plans. The board-approved school plans for student achievement are required for schools receiving state and federal funding. It is recommended that the board approve the 24-25 school plans for student achievement as presented.
Move the recommended action.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board? Questions or comments from the community? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous. Take us to 6.2, approval of revised local control and accountability plan, LCAP federal addendum. Ms. Decker.
Districts that apply for Every Student Succeeds Act funds are required to complete the LCAP federal addendum in addition to the LCAP plan. The LCAP federal addendum is meant to supplement the LCAP to ensure districts meet ESSA plan provisions. The Sierra Sands LCAP addendum documents the district's approach to maximizing the impact of federal programs in support of underserved students and describes the district's overall implementation of title programs. Sierra Sands must periodically review and revise the LCAP federal addendum. The board goals have been updated. The data analysis for educator equity trends for low-income and minority students was reanalyzed, and the updated data trends have been included in the revised addendum. The allocated expenses for Title II and Title IV have also been revised. The district applies annually for federal program funding through the consolidated application. Currently, the district has applied for approximately $2.1 million in funding for the programs listed. Title I is about $1.7 million. Title II is approximately $205,000. Title III is about $35,000, and Title IV is $138,000 approximately. It is recommended that the board approve the revised LCAP federal addendum as presented.
Move the recommended action.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions from the board or the public? Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous. That'll take us to 6.3, report on 2024-25 California School Dashboard Local Indicators. Dr. Savko.
I prefer to stand this evening. Good evening, Vice President Mr. Rockwell, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Moore, staff and community. The California School Dashboard reports performance and progress on both state and local indicators, based, of course, on the 8 state priorities. The priorities for which there are no state-level data are referred to as local indicators. Although there are 7 local indicators, 5 apply to districts, which are basic services and conditions, implementation of state academic standards, parent and family engagement, school climate, and access to a broad course of study. For each of these indicators, the State Board of Education requires districts to annually measure our progress in meeting those requirements of each priority, Report the results as part of a non-consent item at a regularly scheduled public meeting in conjunction with the adoption of the LCAP, which is later in our agenda, and then report the results to the public through the dashboard. Provided that the district satisfies the performance standards for each local indicator, the dashboard automatically assigns a performance level of met. And if a district did not meet the performance standards, the dashboard would automatically assign a performance level of not met or not met for 2 or more years, as applicable. A performance level of met for all of our local indicators is anticipated, and you have the report as an attachment. The report satisfies our State Board of Education requirement. The local indicators are presented for informational and reporting purposes only and do not require board action.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board or the public? You got off easy tonight.
I'll
Thank
be
you,
back.
Dr. Savko. Takes us to item 7, Policy Review Committee, approval of updated board policies and administrative regulations. Dr. Moore.
Thank you. So on the agenda and all the attachments, you see a number of routine updates that are required by updates to legislation and as recommended by the California School Boards Association, from where we get our model policies. The Board Policy Review Committee had a chance to review and saw them all as routine and recommends approval this evening.
Move the recommended action.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions on these from the board or the community? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Takes us to Personnel Administration, 8.1, approval of the Sierra Sands Unified School District Workplace Violence Prevention Plan. Easy for me to say. Ms. Self.
Good evening. California Senate Bill 553, which was signed into law on September 30th and amended, requires employers to develop and implement a workplace violence prevention plan. The district created a committee and has met to collaborate on this plan. This collaboration included reviewing information from a district-wide survey provided to all of our stakeholders. Using the information gathered, we have constructed and developed the plan for your approval this evening. It is important to note that the district has an overall plan and each site to include the base operations, the Sierra Vista Center, and our school sites all have individual plans as well. It is recommended that the board approve the Sierra Sands Unified School District Workplace Violence Prevention Plan as presented.
Move the recommended action.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board? Any questions or comments from staff or community? We have a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's, well, it's not really unanimous, kind of, but one absent for the moment. Move on to item 8.2, adoption of resolution number 262324, certification of the nature of appointment of Randy Coit and necessity of CalPERS 180-day wait period exemption. Ms. Self?
The Director of Construction will retire from the district effective July 1st, 2024. Mr. Coit has agreed to continue to work for the district in consultation capacity to help with the Richmond School project. The district can apply for an exemption to the 180-day wait requirements by CalPERS, and that is through an adoption of this resolution this evening. It is recommended that the board adopt resolution number 262324 as presented.
Move the recommended action.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Any from the community? My only one is I know we probably worked really hard with our attorneys to make sure that this was rock solid, because if we don't dot an I or cross a T, it could be bad for Randy, and that's certainly not what we're looking for. So I appreciate the diligence that went into pulling this together. We'll have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Takes us to 8.3, presentation of initial sunshine contract proposal from the Board of Education to the Desert Area Teachers Association for 2024-25.
The Board of Education will submit its initial sunshine contract proposal for 2024-25 to the Desert Area Teachers Association at this meeting. It is recommended that the board present this initial sunshine contract to the Desert Area Teachers Association.
Is this, do we need to vote on this? Okay.
Move to recommended action.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board or the community? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Let's see, 8.4, declaration of need for fully qualified teachers for the 24-25 school year.
The district continues to make an effort to decrease the number of teachers employed by the district who are not fully credentialed or are teaching out of their credentialed area. The district sees significant progress toward this goal currently. However, the need is still there. This item, it's important to note this item was on the agenda for the April 18th board meeting, but was on the consent calendar. We've been advised that the board must take separate action in a regularly scheduled meeting to approve the item. It is recommended that the board adopt the declaration of need for fully qualified educators for the 2024-25 school year as presented. Adoption of this declaration is a prerequisite to the issuance of any emergency permit in the specific areas of anticipated need for fully qualified educators.
Move the recommended action.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions or comments from the board? Any changes of heart since the other time or two that we voted on this?
No.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the community? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Takes us to general administration, 9.1, gifts to the district. The following gift was received. Linda Roush made a cash donation of $500 to be used by the Robotics Club at Murray Middle School. Donations provide support to the district and have a positive financial impact. I move we accept the gift as described and send an appropriate letter of appreciation.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from anybody? All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous as well. Approval of CSBA Legal Services Agreement. Is that you?
It is.
Dr. Moore.
Yes. So it is our pleasure to bring this forward, CSBA being your organization for California School Board members. They provide legal service at a very reduced rate, and for the low price of $1,330, we get access to their full legal library, which includes statewide resources, examples, and models program, and we also get a significantly reduced rate, hourly rate, should we choose to use them for any legal services. And after review and meeting with their staff, I recommend that we do approve this. And because they are your organization, while this is within our limit for being able to approve, they do not ever want to surprise a board by any sort of charge. And so they have asked that this be brought to you for formal action before we go forward.
Move the recommended action.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board?
Comments, just, it is a good bang for the buck. Yeah, probably one of the better ones that we approve.
Yeah, I think I concur. I was actually surprised to hear that we were not a part of this alliance. Just seemed like it just made too much sense, and I'm glad we're jumping on. Any questions or comments from the public? I'll have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Number 9.3, discussion and approval of portrait of a graduate. Dr. Moore.
Hooray!
Hooray.
This has been a labor of love, and I want to acknowledge in the audience, Mr. Scott O'Neill has been a partner along with a representative from the Kern County Superintendent of Schools who's helped us in designing our process and the community engagement that led to tonight. But as you all know and will recall, we've had a series of community forums, student forums, staff forums, and surveys to ensure that we're gathering the community's vision for our students upon graduation. And what you see in front of you is a fairly, I'll say, complete but not final draft. Our intention is to launch, with your approval today, to launch the school year with this as our portrait of a graduate, and in so doing, in that implementation phase, see if there are additional tweaks and adjustments that we want to make, and then fully finalize it, probably in the December timeframe of the new school year, once we've kicked the tires on it, so to say. But we've had several teams already vetting it. We've had our administrators meet and discuss and confirm, and we've had a teacher team of really representative teachers from across the district explore and help us refine to get it to this draft that we see. So we feel pretty comfortable and confident in launching with the school year, and would love any feedback you may have and present it for your potential approval this evening.
Move the recommended action.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board?
I would like to say, I just think this is wonderful. As a former teacher, I think this can go in so many positive directions for every school. And it's more than just getting in that A per se. Then, you know, maybe kids don't learn as easily, but they have other parts of them that can succeed by just not getting letter grades. So I appreciate this. This is going to go far, hopefully. Yeah. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I guess I'll say I'm very excited about this as well. I think it really puts some focus on, you know, where we need our students to go. I'd almost like to throw it over the fence and have the NOC WD portrait of a teammate and have everybody on the other side of the fence be phenomenal at all of these things, because none of us are great at all of them, and
Exactly.
you know, but this is something we can really focus on and you know, work to get better at. So I think it'd be great. I also, Mr. Ferris and I had a CSBA delegate section meeting just yesterday. Seemed like a long time ago. I brought this up to the delegate assembly members from our region, Region 12, and Region 10, which is the region north of our region, and you know, talked about, you know, the focus this gives us, and it was met with, you know, a lot of enthusiasm from the delegate members as well. So I think we're moving in the right direction. I don't have any wordsmithing that I would do. I think this is a great way to go, and I would launch it as is, and if we decide to tweak it later after we have a little experience with it, then I'm fine with that, but I'm good with it. Any comments from the public? All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. And thanks again, Scott, and the rest of the community that has been involved in this effort. It's, you know, this is really what we need to be doing more of as a community. We need to be coming together to push for ways to make our students all they can be. And this is a great example of that right here. So that takes us to 9.4. Authorization for board member travel to the California School Boards Association Annual Education Conference and Delegate Assembly Meeting. Dr. Moore.
So this is our annual discussion and action, which is required to spend the allocation of the budget already reserved for board travel. And you have all the breakdowns and the costs associated. It will be in Anaheim this year, and there are various components with Mr. Ferris being the state level and Mr. Rockwell being at the delegate level to also attend additional components, some of which are covered by CSBA directly. And in his absence, Mr. Ferris has indicated his plan to attend and would love a discussion to see who all would like to go and then potential action.
Any comments from anyone?
Well, I'll say that I remember the first one that I went to, and we went to San Diego, and it was before, we just started on the board, and I felt that it was very helpful for me to get me started, and I also like that it gives us time to team build and to work together as groups, and that's what I really enjoyed, that it helped me get to know all the board members when I became one, so I think it's a great thing, and I enjoy doing it, so yeah.
Make a motion to move the recommended action? Or do you want just you want the conversation first?
Well, we need to know who's going, and I believe,
Yeah, I will not be able to. I won't, we already have plans, so. But I agree that it is a good bonding session. You get to know people on travel, but I will not be able to attend this one.
And with an election coming up, it just all depends.
right, so,
Yeah.
so in acknowledging that 2 members are up for election, the recommendation is to approve the attendance of 4 board members, and knowing that if the actual name of the person is potential to change, but that we would actually go ahead and authorize it, which then allows staff to make reservations and get the good rates for us, and be efficient with resources.
I'll move that recommended action.
Yeah, I'll be going. Oh, second, yes, sorry. I thought we were still discussing.
Yeah, if you don't second it, we're not going, so,
Thought maybe you'd second. Did you first in?
Yeah, I've gone, I think I missed one in 18 years, and I hated it, because this is really a phenomenal way for us to learn how to be better. And it takes on a whole new level of meaning, sitting on the delegate assembly and Mr. Ferris on the board of directors, because now not only are we there being educated and being able to network with, the 1,000 school districts around the state, but we, no kidding, have a voice in the direction of what CSBA does. And, the fact that, I can bring kind of the Sierra Sands, Indian Wells Valley perspective to those discussions, and that Bill can do the same, is very powerful, because you might be surprised, but not everywhere in California has the same kind of perspectives that we do here. And so it's very important that, since we have the opportunity to have a voice, that we use it. So, any questions or comments from the community? All right, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? It's unanimous. Takes us to Construction Administration 10.1, report to the board, construction activities and issues. Mr. Moore.
Vice President Rockwell, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Moore, faculty, and members of the community. Here's our update for the current construction. There is so much going on. I will highlight some things. We'll update how Richmond's going, some work going on at Murray, and our plans there, Las Flores, Fowler, and some of the summer projects that we have moving forward as well. The Richmond project, first, it's big. But the big picture also looks very well how the progress is going. The modulars look great. The interior paint's almost done, mostly done actually. The interior paneling's going in. Supply cabinetry, as you can see, as on-site and all the other built-ins, they're being installed. None of the pictures have flooring because we want the flooring to go in pretty much last. We don't want to mess it up while all the other things are being installed. We met with the architect, Principal Yancey, and the classroom furnishing collaboration team to collaborate on the overall classroom functionality and furniture. We have one more round of furniture options, and then we'll order the furniture and coordinate delivery for when we're ready to load those into the classrooms. My however from last month continues to be a caveat. The schedule looks pretty good. We're still on the waiting list for the back-ordered main electrical switch unit for the high-voltage power coming into the campus. The whole nation is actually back-ordered for this type of unit. From what I understand, we're behind a couple of military orders, but we're on the top of a very long list. So you can trust that we've approached this from every angle, and we've played every card, but we can't get it any faster. However, to keep us on schedule while we're waiting for this important component, the contractor, the construction manager has just told me this morning that they've been testing as they go with the lower voltage components so that when we do have the high voltage installation, all these other little things don't have to take place. There's no way to test each building's lighting system while we're, well, there is a way, but the construction manager is seeing if it's financially and permissibly viable, because they would have to test each building component separately on a high voltage temporary, which may be prohibitive. Regardless, the major testing will take place after we have this switch. And so we're getting everything done while we wait. It's going to be a hurry up and wait. Nothing's changed on that electrical switch. The Murray expansion project status. It continues to move forward. Core samples were taken on June 7th. Core samples meaning they drill a little core. Several that were just a few feet down, and one that was very deep, just to test to make sure we're building on viable land. We're reviewing bids for phase 1 in a few weeks. We're working deliberately and coordinating with all the moving parts, DSA, inspections, test bids. Solar requirements for building construction is a big deal in California, and so we're coordinating with the solar supply to make sure we can time things and get those through approval process concurrently. We can't send one thing through and then another thing through. We've got to do it all at the same time. We don't have time to do one thing at a time. Taking each step carefully increases the funding options through state programs and support what we're doing here. Summer projects.
Sorry, Mr. Moore, before
Yes.
you go past that one. I know I've seen it, but I don't know that I recall the specifics. What does the locker room update entail?
Sure, we have some lockers that are coming on, new ones. We actually had some older ones that we were going to try to reuse. It just wasn't good enough, and so there's some.
Yeah, at the end of the school year, Murray staff, PE staff in particular, reached out to us and shared concerns not only with the growth, but just with the current numbers. And Pam and I and the architect actually visited the locker room and we toured it and heard from the teachers, and we realized it was one of the things that was shortened and minimized in the build because of budgetary reasons, and they were over capacity. And so Maurice, our architect, was able to say, hey, we can, for not too much money, just fix that issue, which will help alleviate some of the stress, which, of course, if a locker room's not running efficiently and well, then it has a whole lot of domino behavior effects. So that was something that wasn't going to be too onerous on the process or slow things down. So that was something we were able to add in this expansion project.
Thank you.
Thank you, good question. Las Flores, the modular going in. We have a modular building going in that will provide extra space needed, so we moved some things around this year with the student body, and we've covered that in previous meetings. During demolition, actually, you can see by the bottom middle picture, a plumbing contractor popped a water line because it didn't show in the as-built, so he generously offered to fix it. They fixed it to code, and our maintenance and operation team looked at it and said, why didn't you just do this? And they refixed it. I'm pretty pleased with our M&O guys. They really prevented us having to take a look at it, dig it back up 3 months from now. So kudos to the M&O team working out in 114-degree weather and taking pride in their job. On the other side of the campus, in the parking lot, asphalt cracks are being repaired. Actually, yesterday, most of them were repaired. Some of them are still being touched up to ready the asphalt for a slurry coat and restriping by the end of the month. At Fowler, during demo, they uncovered an unexpected slurry bank. You can see on the left picture a lump in the middle of, right in the middle of the job site. That's called a slurry bank or slurry vault. It's basically a concrete vault protecting high voltage electricity that, gee, it was supposed to be alongside, not in the middle of where we're planting this thing. And so that had to be removed safely, and all the high voltage and low voltage are being rerouted around where the modular is going. Inspections passed this past Tuesday for Fowler and Las Flores, and so both sites poured the concrete in these footings that you can see in some of the pictures. Actually, they were removing the wood footings from the forms from the concrete today, and we are moving forward, clicking on with electric, gas, and plumbing infrastructure on both of those projects. At Fowler, also on the other side of the campus, the fencing contractor is working with their own digging, and they've actually nicked a water line. What is it with these diggers? I did offer them the same benefit that I offered over at the other campus. I said, we'll be happy to charge you back if you nick another water line. Our M&O team took care of these, and gee, the next water line they found without breaking it, so that was motivational. Additionally, this parking lot at Fowler has gotten a lot of the repairs and the cracks out front, and it will present very, very well when school starts again, because we'll be able to re-slurry, seal it, coat it, and repaint it so it'll look fresh when school starts again. You can see in the middle picture at the bottom some of the demolition around the current fence posts, but if you see in the right picture, there's a level on one of the 4x4 metallic beam, the iron beams. They're actually welding them across the top structures well to hold them sturdy. This is even the most current picture. It's really great. It'll be terrific, because on the right of that picture is a lunch area where our little kiddos were able to eat, and on the left there was no fence they could walk across or somebody could walk on. That's ending now. I'm delighted to be part of that. One bonus for Fowler, the marquee went up, and they program it to say anything they want. So this is really going to be a marquee campus when we reopen. Oh, I think there's parking lots. See, there's some of the fixes before we slurry coat it. It'll look great. Oh, there's some of the heavy equipment we're using. Both pieces. At James Monroe, last month I believe I mentioned that we discovered a septic system on campus that has been mitigated, and we're almost completely done with that project, just so that nobody will have to worry about that for another 50 years, okay? That's just an update with that. Last month was introducing you to the idea how we are going to fix the puddling areas around the charging units. We actually have that slated. I believe it's in the next couple of weeks. We're going to fix it, because it was where the drivers, when they plug in their buses at the end of a workday, would stand where any puddling water might be. I know we don't get a lot of rain here, but when we do, I don't want to have our drivers standing in the water. So that's on task to be repaired. When I meet with you next month, I'll be happy to show you the completed pictures. Thank you, Vice President Rockwell, Superintendent Moore, members of the board, community, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them as best I can.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
So I noticed we got more buses. I saw 2 in the picture now. I think we have 5.
I think we're going to get 8 more, right?
We have a total of 8. So we're getting
Eight's the number is coming, so.
getting
yeah.
closer.
They're showing up.
Yeah, great.
And remember, I'll put it back on record that we're paying such a silly, we're practically getting them. So incentive to get those buses moving is going to be great for us.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Go to Business Administration, 11.1, Adoption of the 24-25 Local Control Accountability Plan. Dr. Safko.
As you are aware, the board held a public hearing on June 6th to solicit the recommendations and comments of members of the public regarding the specific actions and expenditures proposed to be included in the LCAP. The public hearing was held at the same meeting as the annual budget public hearing. The board is required to hold a second public meeting after, but not on the same day as, the public hearing to adopt the LCAP. This meeting must be the same meeting as the adoption of the district budget. The district must file the adopted LCAP and budget with the Kern County Office of Education within 5 days after the adoption. Our draft LCAP is posted on the district website for public review and comment. It's recommended that the 24-25 LCAP be adopted as presented.
Move the recommended action.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board or the community? Dr. Moore.
I'd just like to say that this short item represents an enormous amount of work, and want to thank Dr. Savko for her leadership and all the community involvement that she's coordinated to make this possible.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah, I won't bring it up now, because it's a lot of work. Anything else? We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Takes us to adoption of the Sierra Sands Unified School District proposed budget for fiscal year 24-25. Ms. Smith.
And there it's on. So Education Code, Section 42-127 requires that on or before July 1st of each year, the governing board will adopt a budget and file that budget with the county superintendent of schools. In accordance with the district's practice, guidance from School Services of California, the California Department of Education, the Kern County Office of Education, and the Fiscal Crisis Management Assistance Team were used in formulating the proposed Sierra Sands Unified School District budget. The governor's May revision proposes a 1.07 COLA to the local control funding formula, which is significantly lower than the COLA has been in the last several years. So we'll be dealing with that as we work through this budget over the course of this next year. And the district continues to maintain the board's required reserve level of 5%. The budget is posted on the district website at www.ssusd.org. We maintain our positive certification and continue to remain fiscally solvent in the 24 and 25 and the 2 out years as required. It is recommended that the board adopt the proposed budget for the 24-25 school year as presented.
Move to recommend action.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Questions or comments from the board? Or the community? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Let's see, we will temporarily adjourn the Sierra Sands Board of Education meeting and call to order the Inyo Kern Schools Financing Authority Board of Directors meeting. Item number 1, adoption of the agenda. Any changes?
No changes?
All right, thank you. Item number 2, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 16th, 2024. Any changes there? I thought not. Then we will adjourn the Inyo Kern Schools Financing Authority and reconvene the Sierra Sands Unified School District Board of Education meeting. And that'll take us to 13, the consent calendar.
Move the entire consent calendar.
Second. So we have a motion and a second on the consent calendar. Any questions or comments on any item on that from the board or the community? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Item 14, future agenda. Any future agenda items that we want to think about anytime soon? Seeing none, that takes us to item 15, adjournment. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be July 18th, 2024. Thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful and cool rest of June and early part of July, and we'll see you all here in a month.